The run is over! Are you kidding me? There's a year-long wait for that moment! You better get some popcorn because this is going to be a fun night.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Armchair Ninja Podcast. It is Thursday, September 27th, 2018. My name is Rich, and joining me to present the Stage5 Ninja Awards is a whole slew of people, including Bijan. How are you making out?
I'm good, man. I am excited and honored to be part of this podcast and joined with everybody that we have here tonight.
Yeah, so our first two guests joining us on this special occasion are reality TV experts and fellow ANW podcasters, Taran and Lita from Reality TV RHAPUps. Thanks for joining us, guys.
Yes, I'm very, very excited to be here. One of my favorite things in life is judging things, and so this is perfect for me.
I just like to be called an expert on something.
Yeah, being an expert and then judging things is even better than just regular judging things.
Yeah, that's the top two.
And finally, from ANWFantasy, we have the number-crunching, stat-loving, and ever-diligent Travis McClure. How are you making out, Travis?
I'm making out awesome, guys. So cool to be here. You know, I don't get to normally talk, so it's cool to actually get to join you guys and talk about things instead of write numbers down.
Travis, I'm so excited to have you on, man. I love, just like last year, you bringing in all these interesting facts and everything. So psyched to hear what you have to say.
Yeah, it'll be fun. I got some good ones, so we'll see what we got.
I mean, we're huge celebrities, so you're welcome for being here with us.
Yeah, actually, before we do get into words, I do want to get a quick opinion from everybody, from each of you on the season itself, like kind of an overall opinion. There seems to be a lot of mixed feelings in the community itself. So I guess kick it off, Lita. Were you happy with the changes in the results this year?
I mean, I think it was. I think it's hard to not feel disappointment overall with the results of the season. I think I'm happy with some of the changes. I'm not happy with the underwater obstacle change. I think I've made that very clear on my podcast. That kind of thing really did not fly with me. But actually the change of awarding the person who went the furthest, I think, is a positive change, just because we've gone so many seasons, except for the one, without actually seeing a winner, that it does get a little bit repetitive. I don't mind that kind of change, even though it did make for a little bit of anticlimacticness. But yeah, so I think it's a mixed bag. I think some of the changes are positive and some are a total vibe killer.
Yeah, I got the same impression. Taryn, you said it was I think it's 6 out of 10 you gave it for the season?
Yeah. You got it. You remembered better than I did. I had to go look up the page when you asked me. It's all of my memory has gone into this website. Yeah, 6 out of 10. I was I don't know. I think that if I looked at this season as just like an individual season, I'd be fine with it. But to me, it just felt like it was the third season in a row where we got very similar results of 2 or 3 people in stage 3, they make it to about the ultimate cliffhanger, or whatever they called it this time, and that's basically. I want more people on stage 3. I want stage 2 to be a lot less, endurance-y and a lot more speedy. And that's really what I would like, and I feel like it's going in the other direction. So I was a little bit disappointed in just kind of the overall sort of sameness in the outcome.
Yeah, I guess from my perspective, it was actually pretty much a perfect season, except for the stage 3 results, right?
Mm-hmm.
Up to that, everything about it was great. I loved the new obstacles. I liked a lot of the city finals and everything. It was just that final result. I wanted more people on stage 3, like you said. I liked the water obstacle. I think both Bijan does well. Bijan, do you want to give your kind of quick synopsis too?
Yeah, just very quick. I'd probably give this an 8 out of 10, maybe a 9, just because for me, my biggest gripes have always been on the show, the vignettes, the stories, very unneeded things or just, rolling your eyes. And really this year, I feel like they really stepped up their game in terms of the editing and pacing in terms of the show. So I really enjoyed that overall. I understand a lot of people's gripes about the finale and the Vegas finals, but I guess I've always been a bigger fan of variety and difficult obstacles, as long as they don't involve crayons, because screw that crayon obstacle. But for real, for me, I enjoyed it, but I fully understand everybody's gripes in terms of not enjoying all the problems that was happening with Stage 2.
That's just because you were the star of the Jurassic Park episode.
Well, you know. I got my literal 15 seconds of fame, guys. So.
At least you didn't get the commercial run.
Oh gosh.
No picture in picture. That was a blessing.
What are you guys' like for real? What are you guys' thoughts on that overall? Thumbs up or thumbs down? Because I really
On the
find that
commercial
thing
run?
strange. Yeah.
Oh, thumbs down.
I mean, I think it could be good though. I think it can be a good place. Like Rich alluded to this a lot when you guys were talking about it. You know, if it's somebody who we've seen their backstory 100 times, I'm totally cool with the picture-in-picture run of like Brian Arnold. That was perfect. Like the one time that happened.
That was the perfect illustration of how it could work.
Well, wasn't Brian the one that had happened to twice?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
I think so. Yeah.
Oh, poor Brian.
The first time it was all right, but yeah, I actually liked it as well. I feel like it's better than a montage, and it also, like, if you are watching live and you're not skipping the commercials, it gives you something to watch during the commercials, which is fine. My only issue with it is the weird time distortion that they do on the runs to make sure they fit the commercials perfectly, which really kind of ruins it a little bit.
Yeah, and the other thing on that is it totally left like the perfect meme of Jennifer Lawrence watching Zach Day fall in the water, and I just love that.
Wait, Jennifer. Wait, what?
What?
There's a Jennifer Lawrence commercial on when Zach Day was going and he fell, and like she like totally like pauses. I think it was like a perfume or something.
Oh, it's the Calvin Klein ad or the Dior. Yeah.
It was amazing.
I am going looking for that.
Yeah, I sent Zach a picture of it because it's too good. But as far as the whole season, getting back to that topic, you know, there are definitely parts that I did like. You know, city finals, they're actually a spike in finishes, which, you know, I don't like seeing no finishes in city finals or one finish, you know. And this year, you know, we started to get some more again. I don't even have the number in front of me. I think there's like 20 something this year. So it was actually like a real number instead of like the 6 it's been the last couple of years.
Yeah, I mean, difficult city finals are okay, but nearly impossible ones are not fun for anybody.
Right, exactly. It's 28, by the way, is the number.
28, that's like a huge difference.
Yeah, last year it was 9,
God.
and this season it was 28.
Jeez.
So, yeah.
And then it did not make a difference when it came to Vegas.
Yeah.
Right, and that's actually a good thing, but I'm totally in the Taran camp of I want to see most people finish stage 2 and to be a speed course. I don't know what 4 minutes and 30 seconds is testing. Like, that was ridiculous. And then people fall on stage 3. I mean, I'm old school. I'm a big Sasuke fan, so I'm sure that has its roots into why I feel that way, but I'm definitely, you know, more in that camp than anything. But as far as the season, I can't complain.
All right, so let's actually get to why we're here. We have the actual awards. We got everybody's votes in, including from our Ninja Academy, which I'm going to quickly run through who we had helping us here decide on the different categories and who won. From Twitter, we had ANW Akbarism. If you enjoy Akbar's crazy antics and sayings, which I definitely know Taran and Lita do, ANW Akbarism, make sure you follow them. From other podcasts, we have Cara Palillo, also a rookie ninja this year, from the Ninja Babes podcast, another great podcast out there. And Ian from Steel City Blitz, which is a little bit odd to consider to have a Steelers podcast on here, except...
No, it's not.
Ian had this crazy 200 ninja list at the beginning of the season to kick everything off, where they broke down the stats for every ninja, and it was really, really good. So
that thing was incredible. Like, I've been doing numbers on this show for years, and that was amazing.
This is a pro Steel City podcast, an explicitly pro Pittsburgh podcast.
There we go. And 2 YouTubers. We had Will from 222 Productions and Universal 2 were both voting as well. So our opinions mixed in with all those. So I'm the only one that knows the results. So it's going to be a surprise for everyone on here as well as to who won each category.
Okay.
Let's hear it, man. It took me so long to vote. So I'm super psyched to see this.
All right. So kicking it off, we have the breakout performance by a male ninja. The nominees were Mathis Owhadi, Eric Middleton, Austin Gray, RJ Roman and Zach Day. And probably no surprise, Mathis Owhadi walked away with it.
Yay. Probably the easiest.
I would assume this is probably the most unanimous of all the categories.
Almost. It's pretty close to unanimous, but not quite. There isn't a single category that didn't have a spread out vote.
Oh.
Intriguing.
Taran, what did you think of the coverage of Mathis this season?
Well, I was on record. I after the season ended, I felt like I felt disappointed in the coverage of Mathis because I feel like if they hadn't hyped him up so much, then I would have been really, really into watching the kid. Like this kid who is, hitting all kinds of buzzers on the course. He is new to the sport, but he's been training for years, and he has a big breakout season. And like if it had been played as like this under the radar thing, like a secondary story to the the main story of the what you would expect, then I would have been really, really into it. But just the fact that it was so hyped, constantly, and like I was to the point where I was like, "What is this guy gonna win the 100K? Like, what's going on here?" And then to what was almost a disappointing finish, given that he goes out in stage 2, considering all the hype he was getting. It felt backwards, and I feel like it was entirely on the editing, because it was an incredibly a great performance, impressive performance on his first season of the show. And that's why I voted for him. Like, looking at it without the edit, I think he was amazing, and I'm really looking forward to what he can do in the future. But man, it's like when somebody just tries to shove something in your face all the time. It's like, get it out of here.
Oh man, you're giving me Casey vibes.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with Casey in the slightest, but I know people really disliked how they really ushered her in. I hope he doesn't get that.
So it's funny that you mentioned Casey, because I would say Mathis is probably the only person to ever get more airtime in a single season. I don't keep numbers on this, but I'm pretty sure Mathis got more airtime than Casey ever has, because all Daniel Gill segments were essentially Mathis segments.
That's true.
And they had I think 1 or even 2 of the segments where like all the ninjas say how good Mathis is going to be, and there was just so much of it, and good on the kid, like straight up hit 3 buzzers, made it to the wing nuts just like everybody else, like, awesome first year. But I do think, we were all got too much of it.
Well, by comparison, Jonathan Stevens, who we'll talk about later, also hit 3 buzzers and got no coverage whatsoever.
I wonder how he feels about Mathis.
Needs a better nickname.
That's what it is. So moving on, we've got the breakout performance by a female. We had nominees Karen Wilton, Quest O'Neill, Casey Rothschild, Abby Clark, and Anna Shoemaker. The winner being Casey Rothschild.
Whoa.
I was confused for a second.
I'm very happy for her, but
Sorry.
wow.
I was confused for a second when you guys were talking about the overexposure of Casey, and I was like, did they show that much of Casey Rothschild? And then I realized you guys were probably talking about Casey Catanzaro.
It's better than me. I thought they were talking about Casey from Big Brother. This is where my head is on.
I was just like, I feel like Casey Rothschild wasn't that overexposed. But anyway, I am glad that she won this category. Happy with that.
Me too. It was very close, I gotta say. This was one of the closer categories. Abby Clark was nearly tied with her.
Yeah, I gave my vote to Abby Clark, but Casey was a close second. I'm happy for Casey to get this one.
Well, I just think it's hard to beat, as much as we sometimes bemoan how labored the stats are, it's hard to beat, youngest woman to ever hit a buzzer. That's a real one. Sometimes they'll be like, first mom with 2 kids who's over the age of 40 to hit a buzzer.
Yes.
Sometimes they belabor it. I feel like youngest woman to ever hit a buzzer is actually a stat that's worth noting.
Yeah, she got to compete this year because of the younger age thing, and that's something we actually didn't even mention in, the breakout male. Mathis, I think Austin technically turned 21, but Zach, back there, Matthew Day, and I'm sure there's a couple more, Luke's Reale, all those guys were 19. I think 3 of them made stage 2, a couple of them hit buzzers. That's crazy, but Casey Rothschild, 20 years old, showing that rule isn't just for the kid.
Yeah.
And she hadn't been training that long as well. it seemed like they kind of built her up as being one of those 19-year-olds that's been training for years, anxious to take the course. But when you stop and listen to the segment, she hasn't really been training ninja that long. It's like a crazy performance.
Yeah.
Yeah, hitting a buzzer your first time on American Ninja Warrior is no joke.
As far as females, only Megan Martin could ever done that.
Dang.
Wow.
That's a real stat.
hot
Wow, I didn't know
stat.
that.
Moving on, we have the best new obstacle. This category, we had nominees Doorknob Drop, Spin Hopper, Cane Lane, Deja Vu, and Water Walls. And the winner is a tie, actually, between Spin Hopper and Cane Lane.
That's amazing.
Interesting.
Yeah, Travis, what do you think of that one? Is that pretty much how you thought it would go, or?
So this was one of the harder ones for me. Well, let me backtrack. I had an easy time voting for this one, but I anticipated the votes to be pretty split on this one. For me, something for best obstacle is what can I imagine like Jackie Chan or somebody doing in some crazy, ninja movie where, he grabs a cane and he slides down a rail or something. I could totally see that happening in a movie like that. That's why I voted for Cane Lane. And On Guard is totally falls in that same category for me. But, I mean, only two guys there got there, so I definitely understand that. But that's totally just a curtain rod, right?
Yeah.
So, for me, it was Cane Lane, but I totally understand Spin Hoppers being on there as well. It's a cool obstacle.
Yeah, let me just for my point, because I really like Spin Hopper, and interesting fact, this was correct me if I'm wrong, Rich, but this is one of the last late minute additions to the voting poll,
I was going
right?
to say, you're the one that got Spin Hopper in there at the last second.
Yeah.
So good on you.
So that's very interesting. I really like the all the difficulty involved with it. It's low key. You don't think about it just looking at it. And honestly, there's some ninjas that make it look way too easy than it is. But when you really think about having to jump up different sections, and having the fact that they're really big and large, so you kind of can't just grab onto it with your fingertips, but really arch your hands. The long-term wear and tear on your arms, and having to basically do this crazy dead hang for such a long period of time really can drain out somebody's muscles, not only on that particular obstacle, but all the obstacles to follow it as well.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the Spin Hopper. That got my vote. Just visually, I feel like it's very easy to follow what's happening. It doesn't take too long, which I do feel like is a downfall of some of the obstacles of this sort. So I enjoy that part of it. And I did like Cane Lane a lot. I think it's very creative, but in terms of visually, when I watch it happen, it I don't know, my memory of watching Cane Lane is that it just goes very fast, and they're just kind of jerking the cane across the thing, and I'm like, wait, what just happened? But it was a close vote for me between this one and Cane Lane.
And special shout out to Deja Vu. That is super creative and dope.
Yes.
Yeah, Kevin Carbone designed obstacle.
People must hate that dude.
No. Oh.
Not Lita.
Not me. Call me Kevin.
Yeah, sure.
So my one qualm with Deja Vu is, why were the two bars tied together? That was a totally cool obstacle if the bars weren't tied together. And I think that kind of added to some of the, I don't even know what you want to call it, but the little technical issues that they had with it, where people would get one and then the whole bar would just fall on them because the other bar fell.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just was weird
that was
to me.
super weird because you didn't notice it unless it totally fell out, right? I didn't know that they were tied together when everyone was succeeding. I didn't realize it until somebody fell and the bars fell out, and it was it's kind of a cool in concept, but what's the practical impact? And if I'm not ever seeing it, then what's the point?
Yeah, that was my thing. I was like, wow.
I just always figured it was a trapeze bar,
Yeah, I thought it was too, but it was one collection of two bars tied together. It was weird.
It was kind of good in a weird way. It was jarring, the fact that one of them kept coming out, but at the same time, it adds a lot of excitement because when one comes out, you think for sure they're done, that they're going to fall.
But that also makes it hard to watch on TV because you can't figure out if they've done it wrong. You know what I mean? It was just hard to follow whether or not they messed up until the obstacle was actually over on Deja Vu, which doesn't mean it's a bad obstacle. It just means that it was hard to translate to television.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
That said, at least it's not the wedge.
Yes. Anything but the wedge.
Agree.
Next up, we have the.
Wait, before we move on, we got to talk about Mega Wall here.
Oh yeah,
Sure.
a lot. Or you go ahead, Travis.
No, so I mean, I think Mega Wall is a really cool addition, but here's a fun fact for you. There was no like penalty for trying it. Everybody who even reached the Mega Wall, or the Warped Wall in general, had already qualified for city finals, so there was no reason not to try it.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Yeah, nobody knew that at the time because cutoff points get calculated at the end of everybody's run, but it turned out every single person should have tried the Mega Wall.
I think that's fair. Like, I wouldn't want to watch somebody go for the Mega Wall and then fail and then not qualify because they went for the Mega Wall. Like, I don't know. I guess I'm not really watching, American Ninja Warrior to like, risky call. Should they go? I want to see them try it, and if they fail, then that's fine. So I'm pretty okay with that.
Yeah.
I think we
And
had.
honestly, the only person who did fall on it and didn't get up the regular wall was Austin Gray,
Yeah.
and he went on to have an awesome season anyway. So
He did, but then he missed out on that buzzer. So he was
That
the one I
is
was going to
true.
mention. Like, that would kind of suck. Your first time out, you could definitely do it, but then you spend your legs on the Mega Wall and then miss it.
Yeah, and I'll just say this: when I was at the LA qualifiers and I stood right underneath that thing and they were talking about it, I looked straight up at that thing and I said, "Nope, that is not happening. I'm sorry, but that's for all the professionals. I am not falling from that high up. Nope, not gonna happen." So, Travis,
Well,
I'll be
yeah.
happy
fear
you
of
can
injury
curse
is
at
the
that
only
TV
reason not to do it.
because I'm no, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what Taran pointed out is that like bodily harm is the risk of that.
Yeah.
I will say I loved the addition of the Mega Wall. I feel like it really added something to the qualifying episodes, and I actually found that I missed it in the city finals. I was like, man, I wish they could just go up the Mega Wall for fun halfway through the course. I really liked that the whole thing, the money that they get for it, and just the fact that there's that little added bonus, because nowadays for the most part, once you get to the Warped Wall, it's pretty much a given that you're going to get up it. Very few people don't, which doesn't take away from the difficulty of the obstacle, of course, but it's nice, especially for like the upper tier athletes, to have a little bit of like a will they, won't they, even at the end of a qualifying course.
Very well said. And I really appreciate that there is a monetary reward.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I feel like if you would have given like Joe Moravsky, Drew Dressel $1,000 if they got it in city finals, those guys totally would have gone for it because they were both looked so angry when they went over the regular wall.
Everyone we thought would be crushing that wall did not do it this season. We didn't get Joe, Drew, Flip, John Alexis Jr., all the people we thought would be like walking away with the cash this year. It didn't happen.
Unreal did it twice, man. Technically, you should have it doubled.
Yeah. Okay, so moving on to Ninja Killer of the Year, which might end up becoming the Kevin Carbone Award the way we're going here. We've got Kane Lane, Iron Maiden, Double Dipper, Deja Vu, and Wingnut Alley. And the winner is Double Dipper.
I fully support that choice.
It had to be it, in my
I think
opinion.
that's the right call there.
Yeah.
It surprised me. I didn't think enough people would pick it. It is a little fresh in everybody's memory being in Vegas, but yeah, I can't remember who picked it or not. Bijan, did you pick that one?
Yeah, definitely. For me, Double Dipper, just it's not only for me, it's really about the whole, like everything around the obstacle, the build up to it, the fact that it's a daunting obstacle, and every time a competitor leads up to it and is about to go on it, everything hushes, and you just want to see if they can get past it. Not only that, it took out so many like amazing competitors, and the story like in itself, like really when you think about the two like stage 1 episodes in Vegas, Double Dipper was the real big key to it.
Yeah, the Double Dipper made me mad when I watched because it took out so many people. But I think if I'm being fair to it, like, I don't think it's the Double Dipper's fault. I really don't. I feel like it's just sitting there. It didn't do anything wrong. It's stage 2. Stage 2 is to blame. I think Double Dipper's fine. And plenty of people made it through the Double Dipper. But I'm just mad that Joe Moravsky didn't get through, because I know Joe Moravsky would have gotten through stage 2. So it's like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm mad that it took out some of the people that might have gotten through stage 2. And really, stage 2 is where my anger lies.
I saw somebody post that Joe actually did stage 2 and 3 for for testing and posted on his Instagram, and he actually fell on Wingnut
Yeah,
Alley.
I did see that. He was swinging back and forth on Wingnut Alley, and he actually like kicked the next one with his foot right before he jumped, and so it tilted away from him as he tried to grab it, and he went down.
That would have been equally as frustrating to watch. That
Right?
sucks.
He was not having success, not having good luck there on the Vegas course.
Man.
I feel like Wingnut Alley would be fine if they used the USA versus World. The 3 Wingnuts, we would have had more finishers, and it would have been a perfectly fine season. It would have rescued the whole thing.
Hey, I'm fine with the Wingnuts this year, man.
I just feel like, put the Wingnuts in stage 3 or something. I feel like that's where an obstacle like that belongs. When you're taking a minute to rest before you approach an obstacle, I feel like that's a stage 3 obstacle.
That's a good point.
Yeah, I mean, for me, the Ninja Killer was Wingnut Alley, just from a sheer number standpoint. I know that's, not how you guys all gauge this category, but it's totally how I gauge this category. There was 3 out of the 14 people who attempted it. That's 21%, whereas Double Dipper, 49 of the 65 people who attempted it, completed it. That's 75%. I mean, Double Dipper was just the names, right? Flip, Joe, Rosen. I'm sure I'm missing half a dozen more really good names that we expected to be in stage 2. And I think that's why Double Dipper stands out as, the one that people cling on to. But for me, it was Wingnut Alley just being the brick wall that everybody hit, and only 3 guys got past.
Well, it's just like also that like the Double Dipper like caused a physical injury that we had not seen like comparable to that. Like Travis Rosen like breaking his ankle or his leg or whatever it was. Like I think that it just sticks in our minds, and like those big names. I mean, did Kevin Bull also go out on that or right after that? Yeah.
Yes,
So like
yes.
I think that that's part of it, is that like I understand from a pure numbers standpoint that that's maybe not the Ninja Killer, but it's the one that like in terms of the TV show, like that's the one that we were all
sure.
like, oh crap, like that's
It's the one that literally killed somebody.
Right,
Almost.
especially
Hey, you made the joke, man. I was
especially
like, do
the
I say
injury
that?
that really sticks with me. I think that because it's not just that it injured Travis Rosen, I think it's also that it shook everybody else after that. And that's like, it got psychologically to people.
Yeah, I think it's a combination of, like Bijan said, if you're basically holding your breath as someone takes on an obstacle, that's the one that you got to pay attention to, right? And I feel like both Double Dipper and Wingnut Alley were that, right? When your favorites are approaching it and you're going, oh, please get through this one. Like you just don't know that they're going to do it. So I think either one of them would have been a good choice, but Double Dipper was the winner in the end. Moving on, we've got the best comeback story. I was really interested to see how this one was going to go. So we had Chris Wilczewski, Danny Bergstrom, Enadina Stanger, Jake Murray, and Jeremiah Morgan. And the winner, by a fair margin, was Chris Wilczewski.
Yay.
Taran, what did you think of Chris's story this season?
It was great. I've always been a Chris fan. So for him to have such a compelling story was great. Obviously, very sad to hear about this experience that he went through, but it was very compelling to me. It was very terrifying to hear about, and the way that they told it, I felt like was very very compelling. And then, man, just seeing him on the course, so focused, like, and you were almost able to feel what he was feeling, knowing the what he went through and the feelings that he was having and needing to overcome this obstacle, and you really felt like the joy and the release when he made it through. This was one of the best moments of the season for me.
Yeah, actually, I should mention, you guys caught something that Bijan and I didn't. Bijan, can you imagine if Chris had made it to Water Walls?
I mean, that's what I was thinking when, we were going through this. It's like he's suffering from some intense PTSD, and he missed an entire year due to, well, I don't know if the reasoning is, but all these obstacles have water underneath and like all these other things involved with it. I mean, him having to hold his breath and like go under that. I mean, I don't think I want to see that, to be honest with you guys.
Yeah, Chris missing season 9 was 100% because of his PTSD, because of that event. I was in Cleveland, talking to people, we were looking around for Chris because that's how last minute he pulled out. He was in Cleveland. We were all warming up and getting ready to take the course on, and I was ready to watch and stuff and hanging out with people, and nobody could find Chris, and that's when we found out why he wasn't there. And that's it's just crazy how it just got too real for him, and and to have him come back this year, a couple years later after the event and just absolutely crush it on the course is awesome, because I think no one means more to Ninja than Chris Wilczewski. Like, I don't know if that's a arguable statement. I think that's just a fact, because he kind of is the guy who's pushed it as much as it has grown.
Yeah, as a sport, I think Chris has been the driving factor in making its growth right across the U.S. for sure.
So when Chris is doing good, Ninja's doing good. So super awesome to see him back killing it.
Yeah, and he has the feel-good story of the year. I just got to say, I did have a dissenting vote when I particularly voted, but I really wanted Chris to win, oddly enough. But I voted for Enadina Singer just because I feel, looking at her storyline, she might not be necessarily a competitor, but we've seen her for multiple years now, and her transformation and her just being able to get on that course and actually do a transition from those steps. I mean, I literally broke down, and for me, in terms of comeback overall and just the whole minutia of the meaning of that, you got to look at her also.
Yeah, so she was the one, just for listeners who maybe don't remember because she's not a big name, Ninja, she was the one who was in the wheelchair just a year or two ago, correct?
Yes.
And now she's on the course.
But not just that, her bones were I forgot what they said, but in the course of a month, her bones were breaking all the time, and she was just very brittle and having all these problems. And her transformation, especially from the point where they said she might not live and survive, and her just being screw you guys, I'm going to do this. I mean, for me, that's dope.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she's the one where I saw the preview of her run where she was standing at the start line, and that made me cry. I was like, what is no? That was too much already. Just seeing her, just seeing the image of her there was enough. It's very moving stuff.
Yeah, and Adidas standing was the comeback story, and that was last year's story. This was her running a course. It's insane.
Yeah, great story. Chris did end up winning the thing because he was phenomenal this season. Absolutely loved his story. I thought he brought a lot to the season, and one of the reasons I thought it was a good season overall. Glad to see he could win this category.
Yeah, and congrats to all the nominees, honestly.
Yeah, everybody had a great season in that category.
So I guess the other person in this category is Jeremiah Morgan, that falls into the Coolidge, Andy Lowe's Stealthy Ninja category.
This poor guy.
But I mean, this is a guy who's been to stage 3. He's hit 3 city final buzzers. So for him to miss Vegas last year is what his situation was. That's when he got electrocuted. To come back and, he was the one who wasn't supposed to be able to move much either, and he's just blazing through city finals course like it was nothing again this year. So that's a crazy story too, from somebody who gets no love on the show.
He got a segment this year though. You got to at least give him that.
He did.
That's all he had to do was nearly die, and he got a segment.
Yeah, right.
But moving on to those that didn't have a great season or had some bad moments, we had the shocking fall of the year, and the nominees were Isaac Caldiero, Alyssa Beard, Travis Rosen, Joe Moravsky, and Daniel Gill, with the winner by a very narrow margin and split vote, Isaac Caldiero.
Wow. Who's the other one?
Gotta be Joe, right?
Joe was close, but Alyssa and Travis both got votes too. It was pretty widespread.
Wow.
Wow.
I gotta say, I think that this should have gone to Joe, because I think that Isaac, even though he came back with all of this fanfare from being the winner, etc., Isaac has never been known for his consistency. So I feel like when he fell, it was disappointing, but shocking is not necessarily how I would categorize it. Whereas Joe, I felt like I was more shocked. I was stunned. I was surprised.
Lita 100% agree.
Yeah, that's pretty much right. Like, I don't know why, but I just had a feeling that Isaac was not even going to make it to Vegas. I just had like, it just felt like that was what was going to happen to me. Because yeah, I mean, he just isn't that consistent. You know, previous to when he won the whole show, he, I think, had fallen in on like the jumping spider, maybe. Like he'd fallen on stage 1.
Jumping spider is correct.
Thank you. And
I just looked that up to make sure.
yeah, there you go. So like, yeah, I mean, Isaac was always the person in my mind before he won. He was the person that was like, he always falls in weird places, but if he ever does make it to stage 2 or 3, then I think he's going to go all the way. And so that's still how I kind of see Isaac. So it wasn't super surprising to me that Isaac fell. Travis was obviously very shocking in how it happened, but Joe is just so consistent. He has never fallen on stage 1 before. He so consistently makes it at least to stage 2, usually to stage 3. I was very shocked when Joe fell. But really, the one for me that made me jump out of my chair, and this isn't even necessarily due to expectations of performance, but when Adam Rail fell on the salmon ladder in stage 2, I literally jumped up. I was like, oh my God. Like, I was so not expecting it. It was such a weird fall that one was my honorable mention. Adam Rail.
That broke my heart.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was definitely in my honorable mentions category for this one too. For me personally, the most shocking one was Alyssa Beard. I mean, I expected her fully to get at least to, twist and fly, if not finish stage 1. And then to fall on the very first obstacle was just crazy. I mean, like Taran said, Isaac falling, I mean, it happens, especially if you watch local competitions. He's done that kind of a lot lately. And then there was the one, like, Russian Ninja Warrior show he did where he couldn't math and he fell. That one makes me laugh every time. And then Moravsky, I mean, he was another victim of, Double Dipper. He's just the most notable of those ones. And then Rosen, that honestly could be a career ender for Rosen. I mean, he's the ageless wonder. He's already up there in years, and then that looked serious. So
you can't be up there if you're ageless.
Yeah, right.
I'm curious. I kind of feel like, and Rich, you might know, but like I kind of have the feeling that Alyssa and Joe Moravsky kind of split the votes. That said, I mean, those two always stuck out to me the most. Isaac, I wouldn't say congrats to him because this really isn't something you want to win. Right. But for me, the story behind Joe falling was just so, it definitely stood out by the fact that he was so shocked, but Alyssa really was heartbreaking. And the fact that you just knew she can do so much more. And I hate it when ninjas with so much potential and like so much behind them fall in that way. You just wanted to see so much more of what she can do.
I have a quick question about, speaking of Alyssa, I feel like we saw a lot of female athletes fall on the archer steps and then also like the archer alley or whatever you want, the archer, the new iteration of like snake run, floating steps kind of thing.
Yeah.
Do we think they're going to keep that around for the next season, given how many, like, in particular female athletes had trouble with it, or is it here to stay?
It's too biased against short people. That's what it is.
Yeah, I think that's part of it.
I mean, I've been on it, man. It's biased, but you can do it. But I think it's more of the technique involved. That said, I have long legs, so maybe I'm the wrong person to ask. But being on that obstacle, I mean, my girlfriend's 5'3" and she's done it, so.
Barclay did it, so I mean that kind of gets away.
I'm not saying it's not doable, but I'm saying if we look at the people who have fallen on it, I don't think like the obstacle is inherently misogynistic. I think it's just
right.
I think it's just harder for people with shorter legs.
Well, I think stage 1 overall is like completely height dependent, like way too height dependent. You look at archer steps into propeller bar, and then you've got the jumping spider. There's too many that require additional height. That's like, it's one thing to ask, the shorter competitors, which generally is the women, but not always, to be able to overcome one obstacle, but to get past 3 or 4 that have them at a disadvantage is a lot.
So this is something Bijan alluded to when he was kind of talking it up before it fully happened in Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
But Archer Steps is a very easy obstacle for them to nerf and make easier, right? So if they like the concept of kind of wobbly steps, I definitely can see it sticking around in some iteration because they can adjust the wobble, they can adjust the differences,
The angle.
in gap, yeah. So they can do so many things with it that I definitely see some form of it sticking around.
It's for real though. It's the angle that really makes a difference. It's one of those things where you don't really, you have to be on it, I hate saying you have to be on it, but it's one of those things where you won't necessarily see as much unless you're trying it. But the angle makes a huge difference to that obstacle in particular.
All right, so let's take a look at the Stealthiest Ninja Award, and that would be the ninja that really got the short end of the editing stick this season. So we've got Mike Myers, Hunter Gerard, Josh Levin, Jonathan Stevens, and Brian Burkhart. And the winner is Josh Levin. Travis, what do you think that's a fair result? I have to say it's kind of close. Do you think Josh kind of benefited from some name recognition in this category?
Yeah, so the funny thing with this category, right, is Mike Myers, Hunter Gerard, Brian Burkhart, and Josh Levin are all guys we've had at least one video segment of in past seasons, right? So for me, I voted for Jonathan Stevens. I mean, it doesn't matter the fact that I know John personally and have trained with him. He's an awesome dude, super strong. I mean, I'm sure you gathered that. He hit 3 buzzers this year. But the fact that he got no air time, I think it was 3 fast forwards. It might have been 2 fast forwards and a no air at all. But yeah, like to get to compete. So John's story, a little bit of it is I know for a fact he's done at least 2 walk-on lines and just missed the cut. Like, they gave 16 walk-ons a chance to run one year. He was number 18 or something like that. And that's what happened to him twice. And then this year he finally gets a call. He goes to Philly, and then he's one of the, I think it was 15 or so people who got rained out in Philly and moved to Minnesota. And so he goes through walk-on lines, moved city, and then he hits 3 buzzers and gets no airtime.
You need to give this guy a hug for me, man.
Yeah.
That's brutal.
We got to bring him on the podcast or something.
This category was like that show Worst Chefs in America, where I'm like, well, the worst person should win, but it's not. That's not how it works. This should have been like the most invisible person should win, but obviously like someone like Josh Levin, people are going to vote for because it's like the most invisible as is proportionate to like their star power or whatever, where we're always complaining about Josh Levin's stealthiness, his invisibility, as proportional to how good we know he is, whereas like some of the others that are so invisible that it's like we don't even know how good they are, so we can't even bemoan how invisible they are.
Yeah, I kind of hate the fact that, there's Mike Myers. Like, I know the guy, but like a lot of people don't. And like, I feel like when looking at this category, I just have to look at who really needed to be shown but wasn't. And Josh was up there for me just because, I mean, the guy's still one of my top picks to complete all of, American Ninja Warrior if he gets to Stage 3. And just all the accolades that he achieved this year, I mean, they're all comparable, but Josh really stood out for me.
Yeah, I agree that it was really, my expectation for where Josh should be in terms of airtime in comparison to where he was. It's very much the sort of thing where it's like, with somebody like Jonathan Stevens, it's just like, I wish I could give him something, but it's like, I never knew. It's like it's better to have loved and lost than never loved at all. I never loved Jonathan Stevens at all. I have no frame of reference, but I have loved Josh Levin, and it's been taken away from me. So that's I almost have to go there.
Yeah, it makes sense. So the only reason it took forever to dig out some of these names because it's like who did we miss? Who did we not even take notes on through the season? It's like, what names do I not recognize that are going into Stage 2 is basically what it boiled down to. It's a kind of a crazy category. And Josh took it home this year.
Yeah, I feel for you. You went and you dug up all these names, and then we just chose the most recognizable one anyway.
Well, we gave them which is an honor just to be nominated, right? So,
yes, Jonathan Stevens should get the honorary, technically stealthiest ninja award.
He gets the Stealthiest Rookie Award, maybe.
There you go.
There you go.
So we got the...
Wait, one more. I got one more.
Sorry.
Before we leave this category, I have a stealthy ninja that, we're all going to be like, yeah, but he fell in city qualifying. So this was Lauren Ball's 10th season competing. He has not missed a season. He got no airtime when he fell in city qualifying.
Wow.
What?
I almost put him on the list, but only because the other ones had multiple episodes to be missed in. It was the only reason I didn't put him in.
So stealthy, he doesn't even make the stealthiest list.
The true American Ninja.
He did technically get referenced, though, didn't he? I think when they were talking about Brian and how he was one of like 4 people. So he was technically referenced, right? One of 4 people to have competed in every season.
Yeah, he was referenced, but I mean...
Not even his name, though.
Seriously is crazy. So Lauren actually finished city qualifying 8 straight times. He missed it in season 1. So now Travis Rosen is the only person with 9 straight city qualifying finishes.
Wow.
And it was Travis and Lauren going back and forth, But now Lauren's gone off the list and just not even recognized for disappearing.
Wow. That's insane.
Yeah.
All right, so let's move on to our big categories here. We've got the Female Ninja of the Year. And the nominees were Barclay Stockett, Jessie Labreck, Megan Martin, Rachel Goldstein, and Abby Clark, with the winner by practically unanimous vote, Jessie Labreck.
Shocker.
There you go.
Yeah. Bijan, so you take Ninja versus Ninja into consideration too, right?
Yes, I do. I try to take in, of course, American Ninja Warrior is the ultimate thing that I take in consideration, but I really try to also put in Ninja vs. Ninja and everything else. I really try to look at their entire year as a whole. And Jessie Labreck has had just a fantastic year. Her team, she was the captain of the team that won Ninja vs. Ninja. She also was, I believe she was the first female ninja to complete that zigzag type thing. And I know she also completed it with Megan Martin. So just Megan Martin, I really think deserves a lot of credit also in this category. She had a phenomenal year. She won Wolfpack Ninja Tour and a few other things. But Jessie Labreck, you can't deny her accolades this year. In particular, American Ninja Warrior and Ninja vs. Ninja. I'll let the other guys talk.
Yeah, I mean, I think she made it the furthest on the season proper. I think, and she won Team Ninja. She just, I don't know. To me, she just feels like she's just so good. It's just like she reminds me of Drew when I watch Drew Drechsel, and I'm just like, they're just so good at this. They're just so naturally good at this. And I just get that feeling when I watch her. And, which isn't to take away anything from Barclay or Megan, who I think are both amazing as well. But she is the person that I have my eyes on in terms of I think she could have completed city finals, and I think she could have completed stage 1. Things just didn't really break her way there. And so, I'm really, really looking forward to watching Jessie in the coming year.
Lita, is Jessie one of your favorites as well? It's kind of hard for her not to be, I guess.
I love Jessie, but Megan will always be my best friend and my number one. We're also recording this a couple days after Megan competed in Pittsburgh at my home gym in the Steeltown Throwdown. So I talked to her a little bit about competing in Pittsburgh recently. So I am just always going to be all in on Megan. She's my original fave, but obviously nothing negative to say about Jessie. I think that what she's accomplished is completely undeniable. So there's absolutely no quarreling with this result.
Yeah, I thought at the beginning of the season, when we came to Vegas, I predicted that we would have at least 2 women make it to stage 2, and at least one of them would be named Jessie, right? It's one of the 2 has got to do it.
Yeah. I think that we lost a lot by not having Jessie Graff compete in this final, in the Vegas finals.
Yeah, it sucks, but I'm happy for everything that she's doing right now. So good on her.
Yeah.
Yeah. Still though, DC over Marvel. Come on.
Wonder Woman's the only respectable franchise in DC that you can do that.
It's true.
So female ninja was a tough one for me. before I fully dove into the numbers and like Taran said, looked and was like, oh, Jessie actually went the furthest. So this isn't that hard. The reason it was tough for me, just from a broad general look, is 14 females qualified for city finals according to the old rules, not the new 5 people automatically go in. The most that had ever been in a season before was 6. So this was, leaps and bounds above that. And actually, if you plot the growth of females qualifying for city finals on a graph, it looks exponential, which is awesome, because it just shows how many good female athletes are coming to this show and they're actually performing on it. And all that being said, Jessie, if she would have probably competed, are at the top of that list. So it's a really cool group of people to be comparing between. And then just Jessie Labreck just does have that Drew feel where you kind of expect her to do good.
Yeah, she carried her team in some ways in Ninja vs. Ninja. Like, did an amazing job in the anchor for the relay.
In many ways, in particular, Jessie Labreck's boyfriend, because that's his name.
Yes. Poor Chris DeGangi. Never gets any respect.
Poor DeGangi.
So we're moving on to Male Ninja of the Year. And the nominees were Drew Drechsel, Sean Bryan, Jamie Rahn, Najee Richardson, and Mathis Owhadi, with the winner by a very, very close vote was Drew Drechsel.
There it is.
Congrats. Man, I gotta say, I spent almost 2 hours trying to decide between Drew and Sean Bryan. I mean, Rich, it had to be the other close one was Sean, right?
Yeah, and actually what it boiled down to be honest, I put my votes in as soon as I sent out the nominations because I didn't want them influenced. If I had waited and given more consideration to it, I think it would have been a tie.
Ooh.
Wow.
I was ready to switch my vote. I thought by the time I went to tally them all up, I thought I had voted for Sean, but it turned out I had put down Drew, and I was like, well, I'm not going to change it
What
now.
have I done?
Yeah. So Drew ended up winning just because I voted initially without giving it enough thought, because I think Sean actually in the end probably did deserve it more.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all this one. Both of their accolades and everything they've done throughout the year, in particular American Ninja Warrior, are so neck and neck. Drew may have been the last man standing, but Sean Bryan hit all the buzzers in a row where Drew fell in, I believe, the city finals. There's all these different things where it's like this guy did one thing, but the other guy kind of did this. So I understand both sides of the coin.
Yeah.
So for me, this was season 7 all over again, right?
Yep.
Who had a better year, Isaac Caldiero or Jeff Britton?
Jeff Britton had a better year.
That's actually a really good comparison.
Yeah.
I think most people are going to pick Jeff, right? Sure, Isaac got the million, but Jeff had a perfect season. He was the first one, first American Ninja Warrior. And then in the same regard, Sean was perfect. He was flawless till the ultimate cliffhanger. And then, like Bijan noted, Drew had that fall in city finals. So for me, I was like, well, I would have picked Jeff then. I'm going to pick Sean now. And, much respect, Drew 100% earned the 100K because he had the second fastest time in stage 1. And, that allowed him to go after Sean. I hope that's how they filmed it. In stage 2, so he knew how fast he had to go to beat him there. And then since he got the faster time, he went last in stage 3. So he did his little, okay, I'm going to fly through these obstacles. April, am I good? All right, cool. I won 100 grand and now I'm going to fall because I just blew all my energy.
Yeah, I think we're going to have to see some changes to that rule. I hope they tweak it a little bit. I don't think that was a good feeling across the board. As much as everybody seems to unanimously be happy for Drew and thinks that he earned 100K and thinks the ninja should be rewarded, it did kind of have that same flashback feeling to two people got exactly as far and only one of them's walking away with the money.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just such a Drew fanboy, and I guess I'm not afraid to admit it. I mean, I watched Drew on the course, and I wrote in my notes for the podcast, and I mentioned on the podcast. It's just like this guy just makes the show for me. Like just watching him is like watching something beautiful. He's so graceful on that course. It's like watching Planet Earth, but with Drew Drechsel. I just love it. He's he's so good. He's so fluid. Just watching him run, it just looks like he was born to be there. But yeah, I mean, not taking anything away from Sean Bryan, he really did an amazing job, and I think that he doesn't get enough accolades on the show itself for just how well he is doing. So I did consider going with Sean, but the fanboy in me went with Drew.
Yeah, storyline wise, I feel like Drew has been shown every single episode or run that Drew has had. It's been shown, and he's gotten a lot more airtime, where Sean Bryan kind of has been skipped a few times. I feel like they're still trying to find footing of how to represent or show Sean Bryan on the show, because he's kind of already done the Papal Ninja thing. You can't just go back to that well over and over again. Drew, as you said, he kind of has an aura of like the super athlete, in any sport, MMA. Well, I'm not gonna go there. That's polarizing. But like amazing basketball player, amazing baseball player, or something. Like when he's on the course, people stand up, people focus and watch. Sean Bryan's still getting there, and that's no fault to Sean or Drew, but it's just how they were shown. Sean, his accolades, they stand for themselves. It really could go either way. That said, at this point, I really hope Sean Bryan won the People's Choice. That way, in a way, it's kind of tied.
Yeah.
I will tell you right now, there's no way Sean Bryan won People's Choice if Drew's in that category.
Shade.
He did get the Mega Wall, so he did get some cash this season at least.
That's good.
So let's take a look at the People's Choice Awards, because this is kind of interesting. We've got, we opened this up on Twitter, but there was some complaints and some weirdness around it all, so we got some votes through Reddit as well, and I hope nobody minds. We are adding those in as well.
Just the posts, not the upvotes. Just clarifying.
Yes, no, not the upvotes, just the people that actually commented. I don't think it would have actually made a difference in any of the categories, because there's some pretty big landslides we got going here. For Male Ninja of the Year, we've got a fair push for Chris Wilczewski, but in the end, Drew Drechsel did walk away with the Male Ninja of the Year.
Interesting.
Does that surprise you at all, Lita?
No, I don't think it surprises me. I don't think that you can argue with a check for $100,000.
It's fair.
I think Drew Dressel's bank account will tell you he's the Male Ninja of the Year.
Yeah, pretty much. It is hard to argue with results, I guess. And, like as Taran said, he is so smooth and so great to watch. He just captures your attention, and I really don't see too many people being able to compete with that. But Female Ninja of the Year, do we think that this is going to be any different?
This is going to be a landslide.
This absolutely was a landslide, and there was no doubt in anyone's mind that Jessie Labreck was the Female Ninja of the Year.
I mean, what can you say? It's Jessie Labreck. I know she has such a huge fan base, and I feel like it's not just... I feel like it's the entire audience as a whole knows there's something about Jessie Labreck where we are only seeing the beginning of her potential. And I truly feel like one day we're going to see her on stage 3. Calling it now.
Yeah, I need Akbar here to be going, she's a Labreck house, winning both awards.
Yeah, they both did, actually. The male and females lined up. But the next one was our dark horse category here. We have the Obstacle of the Year for People's Choice. And completely out of nowhere, and from our minds anyway, the Mega Wall decimated this category.
Sure.
I would have chosen that one if it was on the list.
Really? It probably should have been on there. It just seemed... It's just a bigger wall, like at the end of the day.
It's true. But it's a good wall. It's real good.
It's mega. It's more than just good.
I mean, my whole thing was it wasn't an obstacle. You already had qualified for city finals, but it wasn't an obstacle.
Yeah. Like, I understand everybody's reasoning, and I think it has more to do with the fact that not only did it have a lot of difficulty, but it had a lot of story and drama to it. So I 100% understand why a lot of people voted for it, the fact that, yeah, they may have already qualified, but hey, can they get that extra bonus of money? That said, for me, just the visual aspect of looking at it or watching it, I'm like, it's, as Rich said, it's a bigger wall, but there is a lot more to it than just that, right?
Yeah, and I have to say the most surprising nomination we got in this category, the most surprising, vote we got, was the Diamond Dash got a vote.
Diamond Dash?
What's the Diamond Dash?
It's that balance one where it's kind of just, it's basically the same as a coin flip or what, a million of those other balance obstacles, right?
I don't even know. LA? Is that the right city?
Minneapolis, maybe?
Okay, who voted for that? You know they filmed the Diamond Dash, that's why.
Reveal yourself.
If you at home feel like the Diamond Dash got robbed in this category, please write in. I would love to hear your argument for the Diamond Dash being the obstacle of the year.
Justice for Diamond Dash. Hashtag for this podcast.
Hashtag.
There we go. And the final category that we had, one that we opened up to you listeners, and we didn't have an equivalent for us to choose. That was the Athletically Profound Run of the Year. So what single run of the year stood out the most to you? And Chris Wilczewski's runs made a respectable showing, but there was no touching Jamie Rahn's shoeless run of stage 1.
The run of the year, man.
No shoes, no shirt, no problem.
I personally, I think that profound is the number one word that I would use to describe Jamie Rahn running barefoot in Vegas. I was like, this really makes me introspect and think about the universe. This is so profound.
It's changed my whole worldview.
So how long before we're sick of seeing it, though, in his segments for the coming years?
Almost immediately. We're already sick of it.
Yeah. They showed him in stage 2 and they had to replay, like, play-by-play of, like, back in stage 1, as you saw last week, Jamie Rahn walked up to the start line. He went on the course. I was like, okay, I did just watch this.
So I guess for me, like, we've seen people do the wall without shoes. I guess the jumping spider was the impressive one. But, I mean, I've seen guys do that with just their arms or just their feet. So at the same time, I wasn't, like, blown away by it. It was cool. But, like, I kind of had the same reaction as Moravsky on the sideline there. Like, I can't believe he's doing this with no shoes. But, like, I'm not, like, losing my mind over it. I don't know.
Y'all are haters. This run was awesome. I'll defend him. I just gotta say, it's all about not only the drama of him like halfway through an obstacle failing it, but it was the lead up. Instantly, I was thinking, how is this guy gonna get through the jumping spider? How is he gonna get through the warped wall? Yeah, he can do it. But if he falls on that warped wall, how is he gonna land back and not break his toes?
Yeah, that's gonna hurt.
Like, so for me, there is some like sensibilities of like, yeah, you might have seen some other people do it, and it's all it's all based on people's opinion and everything. But I felt like that run in particular had the most excitement and drama and just anticipation all around going through, like beginning, middle, and end. That told a succinct story, and that's really what I want to see from just a 90-second run or something like that. I don't know. I thought it was dope, man.
I'll just say that I do have an idea for any prospective ninjas looking for a nickname or a thing just in general. You can be Captain, you give me Jamie Rahn's arch nemesis, Captain NBC's arch nemesis, where you are the shoeless ninja, where you always compete without shoes, just to rub it in Jamie's face, like anybody can do this. And then you're the evil guy, he's the hero. It's a great thing. I'm telling you, you'll make it to TV.
I feel like the rival, the villain of Captain NBC would be like Dr. CBS, and that would not be allowed on American Ninja Warrior.
Truly, the real arch nemesis to Captain NBC is Captain G4, whatever it was, Jamie Rahn's initial superhero, who
the pure body paint one.
We don't talk about him anymore.
Man, do you guys remember, like, it was so skinny and just like,
yeah.
Oh man, the transformation in particular of Jamie Rahn from like his first few appearances to now, pretty insane.
Yeah.
Dude, that was like 1 year, cause like I think season 3 was a Captain G4 year, and then the first time I met Jamie was season 4, and like I walked up to him in person, I was like, holy crap, what? This is not the guy I saw on TV. Like I went to shake his hand, his forearms are bigger than my biceps. I'm like, oh.
He was already yoked 1 year later, huh?
Yeah, it was crazy, dude.
Oh man, I'll always have seared in my head a little tiny skinny Jamie Rahn though.
Yeah, he's really one of the people that we've grown up watching, or we've watched grow up. Sorry,
Yes.
other way around. We've watched him grow. From the scrawny little Captain G4 to Captain NBC. He's getting married. He's living his life. He's all jacked. Like he's become a man.
Proud of you, Jamie.
Yeah, and actually, I think it's a good transition here. We didn't have a category for favorite Akbarism, but ANW Akbarism actually sent one in here, and it was for the Shoeless Jamie Rahn. It was the Flintstones ain't got nothing on Jamie Rahn.
There you go.
So there's your unofficial Akbarism for the year.
Brutal.
It's awesome.
All right. So that is it for this episode. Thank you so much, guys, for joining us. Taran and Lita, I know you guys are wrapping up or have wrapped up your ANW coverage. Where else can everyone reach out to you on your social media? I guess we'll start with Taran.
You can find me on Twitter at ArmstrongTaran. I mostly tweet about Big Brother, so if you don't like Big Brother, then you don't need to follow me. That's fine. But you can also find me on Twitch if you're into video games. I stream on Twitch, twitch.tv/Taran Armstrong. We have some fun there, so check me out.
All right. And Lita, you've got other podcasts. You cover some other reality TV shows, right?
Yeah, so I do So You Think You Can Dance, which actually is also over, but you can check out our finale coverage from last week. You can follow me on Twitter at Lita Tweeted and on Instagram at Lita Grammed. I am private on both of those right now just because I am currently in the job hunting process, but I accept anybody who requests to follow me. So please do so on those platforms. And I write Survivor recaps, which is Survivor is starting up this week. And I write Survivor recaps for myentertainmentworld.ca. So I write those every week. So find those there.
When somebody follows you, do they have to click a checkbox that says "I am not a job hunter" or job person, like the "I'm not a robot" thing?
Yeah, there's actually a CAPTCHA to prove that they're not lame and boring. It's like check all of the photos with Ariana Grande in them.
So Taran doesn't follow you, is what you're saying?
Taran has been blocked for a long time.
Travis runs the ANWFantasy, as we've said. We've promoted you 1,000 times, but how can they reach out to you?
Yeah, so I am on Facebook, Twitter, and barely on Instagram, but I'm going to try to get more of my graphs and stuff on there. It's ANWFantasy for all of them. Also, my website, ANWFantasy.com. I know Rich and Bijan play. It'd be more fun if more people played, so if you're listening, come make a team and we'll play next year.
Yeah, speaking of ANW Fantasy, Champ is here. Just saying. Maybe not this year, but
Yeah.
I was going to say, not this year.
All right, so that is it for this week. Thank you so much for listening.
Oh, what was this? What is this? Am I just chopped liver here? What's going on here? I'm just ignored, huh?
Yeah, but John, how can people... Yeah, you know how we end this up. Come on.
Rude,
Right,
Rich.
so if you'd like to reach out to me, you can reach me as rich@ninjapodcast.com. I am at Ninja Podcast on both Instagram and Twitter. And Bijan, how can they reach you?
Hit me up at Twitter and Instagram at Bijan151. That is Bijan 151. You can see me doing crazy things on my Instagram, in particular, like eating weird bugs or recently just eating crab poop, basically, which was not pleasant. And in about a month, I'll be on doing Tough Mudder, so you can watch me get tear gas and electrocuted. If you really, really hate everything that I said today, enjoy that.
All right, thank you all for listening, and I hope you have a fantastic week.
Peace, love, and deuces.